Utah, when I was a boy, everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Plumgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Plumgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. I'm calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Well, wake up. Good morning, all you peasant serfs, rural wannabes, all us slaves. Back to work this morning. A lot to talk about this morning. Finally, the Environmental Committee Senate hearings yesterday, which we've been pushing for a long, long time. They were pretty telling yesterday. Pretty amazing stuff. I want to talk a lot about why. Are we there, Dan?
Yes.
Are we on the air?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to talk a lot about the whole dynamic of that going forward, and I want people to really understand something. I'm an anti-nuclear activist at its purest, hardcore, and grassroots. Oh, I have been my whole life. Literally. I mean, hardcore activist, a real activist. I've always been that. Now, YouTube genre, whatever, it's a very small piece of my activism, and that is the absolute method behind my madness. Do not kid yourself. I understand. I taught the communications at the university for a long time. You know, I was a professor for a long time. I was a derivative arbitrage trader. I was a plaster. 10,000 frescoes. By the way, today, we'll get up above this fray. I'm on my hike live, you know. I'm headed up to Maynard's Peak, where I hike 3 times a week. While in critical condition, it's 6 miles straight uphill. The mountain shots I use in my videos, that's where I hike every day. That's the university. Weber State, which we used to have the #1 school business in the United States, and we had a rash of horrible, tragic deaths via environmental poisoning. The legendary finance professor, Clyde, was the greatest finance professor in the country. I have the last letter of recommendation he ever wrote. I really am his protege in so many ways. His passing out of the blue, he was killed by the encephalitis attack to the brain. Energy Solutions, Stericycle in Bountiful, the only medical incinerator that Stericycle owns all over North America, anywhere in the world, that is allowed to burn these heavy toxins, including the encephalitis that causes mad cow. He lived right there. Time of his life, the most brilliant person I ever known, mowed down. Mad cow killed him fast. Kyle Madsen, the great professor he was, that I assisted with lung cancer, a non-smoker. Boom, killed him. His beautiful wife, he died in 2005. Both of them non-smokers. His wife died of the same thing. The surgical nurse, the brilliant genius she was, she died this year. Our school businesses are gone. It's over. It's done. The nuclear cartels hijacked our university, lock, stock, barrel. we have 26,000 students here now. It's double the pop because there's no jobs here. And young people want to evolve their lives. And so they go to school and go in debt and create a horrible situation for themselves, which is not their fault. We did this to them. We did this to them, and we could sit and say as baby boomers, we didn't. We did do this to them. We were handed an America on a silver platter as far as the economy goes. It wasn't a career. It was which career? We had no debt in this country. One person working 40 hours a week, our dads usually. Mom raising us kids. You know, we had time for picnics. We hiked right here. You know, we had community. We had fun in life. Community neighbors used to know each other. Communities used to love each other. They used to mingle together. They used to eat together. Their children would play together. We were all out in the environment because we had time to do it. One person working 40 hours a week, having plenty of money to raise 5, 6, 4 kids. You know, we didn't have to put on the facade and live in a 6,000 square foot styrofoam mansion and con these females. I mean, I love these guys. I love these dudes around here. Right here. I love these guys. These guys are beyond masquerade party. They put on this giant facade. They'll go rent or, leverage up and buy this big house with a boat, with all this stuff, dress up like clowns, and put on this facade that they're really somebody, and they'll con these young females. That's what they're doing. And so many of these they'll go for it. And when these guys are so financially destroyed, they got nothing. Nothing. It's a facade. It is a giant facade that we're creating. At the university, these guys have doubled their own salaries, doubled their we didn't even make the top 3. I taught them we were the #1 school business in the United States. And not some voting via the exit testing. Year in, year out. They're gone. They're over. The academia is so hijacked in this country. I want to talk about the hearings yesterday, and I want people to understand, I'm an anti-nuclear activist, very real. I've accomplished a lot of stuff in my life as far as the environment goes here. I really am on my own. Blue Castle nuclear generator, trying to build it on the green, it would have been, if it was not for me, it would have happened. I can tell you right here, right now, it would have happened if not for me. Right before I got sick, I was working on these guys. I exposed the fraud of Dirty Herbie and Aaron Tilton. They were just trying, that license is worth $30 billion. They were trying to sneak it on through. They did sneak it on through. I stopped. You have to have the funding. They came out and said they had this lead dog hedge fund. Well, you know me. I'm a hedge fund guy. I'm like, oh no, I knew. I dug into these guys. Found out this lead dog was a guy that should be in prison. In the SEC under him investigation, you know how it goes. They had no money, just total fraud. I exposed that fraud. And then, of course, the Salt Lake Tribune, Judy did some great reporting on that. And then my videos with my central line hanging out of my chest at the top of Eldale's looking over Stegner's old classroom at Rabbie's old place, my old place. It stuck it to him. Hardcore. I've done a lot of that in my life. I've changed culture here in a good way, but at such a small level. Really, when I travel, and I travel, as you know, that's how I've been able to fight and stay alive with this. The cancer that entered my body on October 13th, 2011, is called ML leukemia de novo, OS. What all that means is it's actual leukemia that presents in a tumor. Now, who would believe you'd get blood cancer in a tumor? Nobody. Even an oncologist. Well, the internet changed the game. It happens a lot. I had a really great friend named Fred Blair here a few years ago, who I believe died of the exact same thing I had. I believe a lot of people died. For some reason, in men, cancer likes to appear in the lower right mesentery. It happens a lot. I want to talk about this. I'll talk about here in a few minutes about my great conversations I had yesterday with the lead staffer of the Environmental Committee. I got to tell you, I was so proud of Barbara Boxer yesterday. Wow. And today in Illinois, I helped prep a great activist, Gail Snyder and her group in Illinois, they're the real freaking deal. She's meeting with Allison today. And I know Allison McFarland. And Allison McFarland has, I would hate to be in her position. Allison McFarland is put into you could tell she wishes she was not there. She was thrown to the wolves by Harry Reid. They're placed there just to block Yucca Mountain. That's the only reason she is to the wolves. You can read it, and I've read Allison McFarland's dissension multiple times. Her dissension on the NRC's. Look, I had the NRC's tapes leaked to me on, I think, day 4 or 5. I don't know even who leaked them to me, how they had them, but I was able to hear them. I was able to hear the conversations between the 5 committee members, Gregory Jacko. Oh, I heard it. They're on the phone talking to each other. This is 3 full core down meltdowns. This is the United States. We would order an immediate evacuation zone of at least 30 miles, and they debated between 30 and 70. The spent fuel pools in number 4 are cracked, are compromised. They are in a fission situation. All of them agreed. Now, they're backtrack. Of course they're backtracking on this. They have to. The nuclear cartel's got a gun to their head. Gregory Jacko, who is a brilliant guy with a soul, he was in the Situation Room. I've had the transcript from inside the Situation Room leaked to me for a long time. I've got it. I know what went on in there. I have the air and water monitoring numbers from Cal Berkeley long before they ever put them out. I read them online. I have the bioscience geo data off the International Coke study. Yeah, June 2011. I've had them long before they ever became public. Long before they come. All this. They were all leaked to me in the early days because of my activism on my YouTube site. I was the only one reporting and talking about this. So emails flying in. Everybody who is anybody in the whole nuclear theater was circled around me. Thousands of emails. Literally. I don't know how I was able to handle it, really. This was before I got cancer. So the community was developed. The who's who, the insiders, the transcript from the CNN Dog and Pony show on March 26th when Sanjay Gupta committed his incredible, horrific crimes on Sanjay Gupta, MD, his medical show in the morning, which are purely malice. Remember, this Hippocratic oath. By the way, Sanjay Gupta, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, is pure 100% CIA. And you can think I'm crazy, whatever. Well, just ask me this. How many of you would have ever believed Valerie Plame Wilson was CIA? You know how many people were CIA? Well, Blitzer. We know for a fact that Anderson Cooper, which is Gloria Vanderbilt's son, we know factual detail these people are. Alex Jones, he's admitted that his father and brother. That's how these guys play. I believe Helen Caldecott is completely 100% paid cash by the CIA. Arnie Gundershield, I know he is. Busby, we know Busby for a fact is funded by the Queen. These are the people that had the field in the early days of this nuclear fight. And when I go out and say I lost, we lost, yeah, we did lose, and that's why we lost. We lost because of Helen Caldecott. We lost because of Arnie Gundershield. We lost because of Chris Busby. Look, these people spent 34 years with publicists grooming their image for one thing, the real profiteers. I was out there fighting the nuclear fight for anything. I didn't have a publicist. I wasn't selling books. I wasn't out freaking charging fees to speak. I wasn't lying and presenting in court documents and cases. By the way, Hill of Utah makes me sick. I went off on them, too. I want to talk a little bit about those scum. I shut down Blue Castle. They started to watch my videos, Matt and his whole clan, who's a bunch of Southern cows who moved to Moab, they think it's cool to move to Moab. I want people to understand Southern Utah is the cancer death zone of the earth. Bar none. Bar none. Our hospital's so full of marquee athletes, these incredible triathletes that are all dying in our hospital from Southern Utah. Well, why? 300 open-air tests, 350 open-air tests in Nevada. One-fold, two-fold uranium mines. The tailings are chock full. By the way, the Tribune finally reported and talked about the radioactive material inside the red dust down there. They think it's cool to move to Southern Utah. So here's a bunch of Californians. That's how they make their living. You have to understand, these people make their living on donations. They're not anti-nuclear. They're about freaking whatever's in vogue, they'll go for it. So Oh, Kevin Blanch has got the freaking Blue Castle thing become in vogue. Oh, let's file a bullshit, bogus lawsuit down there in Price, Utah on the water, which never should have been filed, never needed to be filed, because they were down and out. I stomped their fucking heads in. They were done. They would have never got them. I had them knocked out cold, dead on arrival. Oh, they went in there. They filed a lawsuit. Oh, guess who they bring in for the expert? I'm telling that. Don't you dare freaking bring Gundershield. He is funded by the freaking industry. Don't you know he works for the nuclear industry? No. I'll tell you how green these guys are. They're green as grass. He sent me a leak from the New York Times. I'm like, really? The propaganda New York Times. Wow, just remember this. Megan Rice's story, who is New York City. Megan Rice is New York City. She's the protege of Dr. Rice. Protege of Martin Luther King. She's Dr. Rice's daughter. She's Madeline Rice's daughter. She's Dorothy Day's. I mean, you're talking New York City to the 10th power. New York Times buried her sentencing on the 12th page. Little teeny article. If you don't think they're not a propaganda, they're all propaganda machines. So they filed a lawsuit while I'm in New York City, timing my gig for the Megan Rice sentencing, September 2013. That's when she was due to be sentenced. That's when the committee hearings were due. They were due that week. The committee hearings that we heard yesterday were supposed to happen that week. I was heavily involved in pushing those. I'm very tied with Boxer's office. I'm very tied with this whole thesis. Have been for a long, long time. I'm in New York City, timing that for Reese, because that's where Dr. Rice is. Her dad's freaking, I'm at his place. Oh, we get an email. It's been pushed underground. They delayed Megan Rice's sentencing. So at the same time, the hearing in Price, Utah on Blue Castle is going on. Oh, they bring in Arnie Gundershield. I'm like, oh, I didn't find this out. I get home, I'm like, oh, fuck, no. So I read the transcript of his testimony, which I understand. I don't know how many thousands of dollars. You come in, testify for a couple hours, charge them, a few $1,000, maybe more than that. So that's where your fundraising goes. Fucking frauds. I listened to it. The prosecutor told him a new house because he's a fraud. He never worked in the industry. He's a fraud. And so I'm like, I emailed Matt. I said, you just lost that case. You just blew this whole gig. I guarantee you lose this case because of his testimony. They should have never filed. He's all bull, sure shit. Judge comes out, rules, 30 days later, whenever she ruled. You lose because of that testimony. That's how they play. That's how they work. Look, you people don't, our army understands, but the anti-nuclear activist community, what's happened? What's happened to the environmental community? I was just talking to some guys right over here. This guy's got this old Volkswagen convertible thing with the hat, and, he's wearing leathers around and the leather boots. He's dressing up thinking he's Robert Redford in 1970. Oh, yeah, we're wilderness. We're environmental. So I had a talk with him this morning. Okay, you're environmentalist. What are you up to? And I had a conversation with this fucking fraud. And that's what it is. It's just a fucking show. It's like these women, they'll dress up their little children, put peace signs on their freaking thing when they voted for the fucking war machine. It's a facade. This guy didn't even know. He had no client. He was trying to tell me about our representative, Rob Bishop. We've been sending, about what? I schooled his ass today. Look, environmentalism is fucking intense. It's hardcore. The progressives right here while I'm standing on my hike, I shook Bobby Kennedy's hand right before he gave the iconic speech that Martin Luther King had been killed. Just 100 days. So today is the day that Andy Warhol was shot in 1968. Bobby was shot this night and killed. That's the day the progressives ended. D-Day. D-Day, as I said last year, I was the only one saying this on Earth. At the hearing, we packed that fucking hearing on San Onofre, and the shutdown of San Onofre was February 2nd, 2013. I'm out there in critical condition, packed that house. I got kicked out before I was even able to speak, but I've been working on the shutdown of San Onofre for decades. San Onofre's at Camp Pendleton, where my father was freaking nuked to death from Pendleton. I've been involved with it for my whole life. I saw everybody in there. You can ask, there's plenty of witnesses to this. I'm the only one fucking out there says they will never reopen. They're fucking done. They're done. And I could tell from being inside that meeting that the place was packed with rural activists. Why was it packed? I was leaking stuff to the media from my room. I had whistleblowers because of Fukushima sending me stuff from inside San Onofre while in critical condition, while in the East 8 bone marrow. I kept fighting. While I'm ready to die, under the heavy chemo, the San Diego media started to report it. That's why they got shut. The San Diego local media, which KSL used to be good here. KSL's pathetic. I caught the Energy Solutions truck going through here. The cows drinking water out in the dump site. I sent it to KSL. I had a talk with Mary Nichols at the Survivors thing. She's the #1 media star here who had cancer, who was in the room next to me. They won't talk about it. All they want to talk about, oh, early detection cut your breasts off. Early detection cut your prostate out. Oh, look at you. You all died, but I lived. They won't talk about the causation. It's outrageous. I had an incredible conversation yesterday with the lead staffer. Oh, me and him had quite this conversation. I said, it's pretty outrageous that we aren't even made aware of these hearings. He says, we put out the press release last week. It's the media's fault. I'm like, yeah. No media whatsoever freaking reporting this thing. None. The hearing's happening. You know, they're so secret. It's no coincidence Obama, Marie Antoinette, let them eat yellow cake. Has his whole carbon agenda freaking grandstand bullshit, which you know that's all bullshit. He's grandstanded his executive order bullshit. You know it's all semantics. None of it means anything. And any of you who want to understand the nuclear thesis, you have to watch this hearing yesterday. I posted the link on my YouTube video that I did last night. You want to learn everything, you listen to Vitter. Which way David Vitter is the ranking Republican on that committee. That committee is a powerhouse of a committee. They wield incredible power. Listen to him. All he did was grandstand and support the nuclear industry and to cover it up big time. John Brown said, Wyoming. Oh, we have lots of uranium on Wyoming. We love them. You know, Sessions from Alabama. Oh, nuclear's never killed anybody. They're grandstand. We can see the war. I mean, you watch that, and then you divide up, and you decide. You decide who's fighting for us. You decide. You watch that. I mean, it's very real. It's very real stuff. And you say, oh, I fuck all these politicians. Fuck everybody. Fuck the whole theater. No, that's not how this game works. We have a system in this country, and if you don't think political freaking power, and they watch polls. They watch polls. Do not kid yourself. It is us as the populace. Now, we tried on the Fukushima. We tried with all our might. Now, when I say we lost, that's a battle. Surely not the war. I've been fighting this war my whole life, literally, in my bone marrow. We lost the war on getting the word out on Fukushima, and boy, did we try. My YouTube site, I use the screaming, yelling, intensity, because I know. I taught in communications class here. I understand communications. I know that you have to be in the top of that search engine. If you do not place in the YouTube, and I know how YouTube's robot works. Oh, do I know how it works. If you do not place in the top of that search engine and grab right there, you can have the greatest content in the world, the most brilliant mind in the world, the most brilliant information. No one's going to find you. No one's going to find you. Is it the other thing, the squeaky wheel? Oh, yeah. I know that. I know that. Not only that, the average YouTube video is watched 13 seconds. Retention is everything. Now, Google finally woke up about a year and a half ago and changed their robot dramatically because people are tricking the view count. View count is ridiculous. They know that is view count. They changed it to minutes watch. They heavily weight retention. How do you think I show up in the top of that search engine over and over and over and over? Because people they hang in there. Because my information and my content is solid. It's credible. It's amazing. Not just in the nuclear thesis I've been fighting that from birth. I mean, I have 10 PhDs, not just in academia, but in the literal theater. I mean, try me. Try me. Try me on nuclear. Try me on finance. Try me. I mean, go through the videos and watch, because credibility, I know, credibility is not given. Respect is not, it's earned. That's where we've made our mistakes. It's earned, and it's a hard gig. Quite to it. Kevin, you know you can never be anything really of substantial in moving culture, in economics, in theory, in practice, in anything until you're at least 50 years old. My father. Boy, you're way too pretty to have an opinion. I know what he meant. I know exactly what he meant. It takes experience. Finbo Peterson, who saved my life, who, let's not do the bone marrow transplant. What do you think, Kevin? I had to pray about it. I had to think a lot about it. I'm the first person in the country ever to have de novo OS leukemia, and because they know it is a death sentence. You get diagnosed with it, what happens? Finbo, I've been around the block a long time. I says, yeah, there's no substitute for experience in the theater. Oh, boy. His experience. Look, on October 13th, I was due to be in Zuccotti the next day. I was organized all winter long at NYU with some of the people. It wasn't called Occupy. I was trying to start my post-ignorance kit, my social inequality. I was in Washington Square, in New York City, a lot of the winter, pushing for this thing. I was trying to time it for the 100th anniversary of the shirtwaist fire. It was coming up 100 because that's exactly what this is. It's the usury complex. And it took that tragedy to change the world and birth the progressive fucking movement. That's what birthed, given us the greatest middle class in human history, was that event. Because people had a conscience. It happened in their face. They watched those young girls be freaking locked in. It was not illegal to lock in. Just like Apple right now, splitting 7 for 1. Using slaves in China. Parking their cash offshore. Doing all this. These bankers, these thieves are us because it's legal. Why is it legal? Because Congress makes law and we are Congress. It's representative government. Until people come out and deny it and understand it is. And I can prove it. My PhD right here. Walked around. Post-ignorance. I was working on it. 2,000 interviews. What's your opinion of Congress? Oh, we hate that. I only use motivated. Who's your congressman? Nobody knows. So you can be all that. Presidents don't make law in this country. Presidents, we could blame W. Bush, that monster, but really he was a puppet led around. And let's remember, Congress voted for those wars, including Hillary. They voted for the only reason Barack Obama was elected. The only reason he won the Democratic primary. The only reason. Hillary voted for the war. He voted against the war. This country was aghast. They still are. The majority of this country understands and realizes the theft of the election, the hijacking of the Supreme Court. They understand that fucking war was the dagger. It looted America. I mean, this whole thing that evolved under the Patriot Act. That's the only reason Obama, now, did Obama betray us? Big time. He's status quo. Just like Bill Walmart. I mean, we wanted a progressive. We wanted Bobby back. Remember, Clinton ran as the John Kennedy, which Bill Clinton is the opposite of John Kennedy. He couldn't make a pimple on John Kennedy's ass. John Kennedy was hardcore anti-nuclear. Bobby Kennedy was hardcore anti-nuclear. All the great progressives of this country were hardcore anti-nuclear. Rachel Carson was anti-nuclear. Martin Luther King was anti-nuclear. They killed them all. And like I said the other day, hey, they don't have to go find Lee Harvey. They don't have to find James Irwin. They don't have to find Saran Saran. There's plenty of you fucking morons out there to do it for. Now, you read into the transcript of James Irwin. Read into how he led up, and he fucking did it. Make no mistake about it. He fucking did it. He says in his own fucking journal, all going along, he was watching mainstream media and the hatred that was being brewed up in mainstream media. That's how they stirred up. Just like Foxconn News did to you guys. They stood up through the fucking propaganda machine, Operation Foxconn. He said, I was watching television, stirring up the anti-hatred for Martin Luther King. He didn't even know why he fucking hated him. He just knew he fucking hated because the fucking media told him to hate him. Because there's plenty, and that's exactly, they don't need to find these guys. Saran fucking, funded, who knows, but, he tried to kill Nixon freaking right before that. They don't have to find these oligarchs, they know, they just do it through the media. That's how they do it. That's how they did it through Operation Rupert Murdoch. Come on, Fox. When are you guys going to wake up and realize that every single media star on Fox News and CNN are purely funded? This is an operation that they pull. Everything they say flies in the opposite of what America is. America fought against the royal system. That's how America was founded. The tariff-freaking country, the anti-royal family. There was nothing more quintessentially American to hate that system. Economically, philosophically, socially, we hate it. We didn't think, you weren't born into royalty. You weren't born, now we are. Dick Grasso Jr., CNBC, he goes on these tirades about taxation, whatever. His father, Dick, I was on Wall Street when his father looted the New York Stock Exchange. When he looted, it was supposedly, it was a group, it was a board. He scammed them out of fucking hundreds of millions of dollars. Now his son, who never worked a day, goes against freaking Occupy. These people got balls, is all I can tell you. Never worked a day in their life because it's become the inherited wealth. Now my grandfather, Abraham Sonseca IV, who came from, his father was killed. This was a family that founded all of North America, owned the whole freaking thing. Filthy, stinking. Made it in a lot of different ways. He did not believe in inherited wealth. He left every penny of his charity to the public. He left none to his children. 0.0. There's a lot of people like that. That's the way America was. We do not believe in inherited wealth. We didn't. We were the anti-royal system. Now we're right back to the royal system. Tariffs. Usury. The people don't even know what usury is. And the masquerade party of, I get all of these freaking idiots coming to my site talking about Jesus and God. This woman, well, this is all God. No, it's not, Tim Shell. That's why I always go back to that. That's out of the Old Testament. Now, God helps those who help themselves. This is not God. I've sought in our hospital. I've sought over and over and over and over. Every person that comes in there says, I'm just putting my hand in God. This is all God's plan. God said they all die quickly. Because God helps those who help themselves. This is a fight from hell. Fight from hell. I'm due to speak that day. The tumors present, I get a stomach ache. I was perfectly healthy 1 minute, and I think I've got food poisoning. I'm thinking of a listeria outbreak. It's in my mind, and it gets worse and worse. I'm a tough guy, really tough guy. For me to call an ambulance in the middle of the night, oh my God. Finally, when the ambulance gets there, I start puking, and it's bowel movement coming out of my mouth. And the ETMs panic. They're like, oh my fucking God. It's either your appendix is rushed, something hardcore. Go to the McClackey here, the worst hospital in the world. Go in there, this piece of shit doctor, they x-rayed me. How is it possible they could not see the tumors wrapped around my bowel? Oh, nothing's wrong with you. You do have an elevated white count though, Kev. But we just think it was an infection. You're okay, go home. Okay. Go home, feel better for a few hours, then it's worse. Go back to the emergency room. Same dog and pony show. Go home. Finally, it's Friday. I know I'm not going to go through the weekend. That's why 85% of all deadly cancers are diagnosed on Fridays. Because people just like me, they're not, well, we know what emergency rooms are on the weekend. We're going to get handled freaking before the weekend comes. Because we know all these doctors are out, on their 15 houses trying to press these girls that they're conning, and these dumb, freaking, naive, pretty young females do by these masqueraders. And they go for it because they're naive. And they have, I'll guarantee my daughters haven't. I have 4 incredibly beautiful daughters. Oh, no. They grew up with me. Didn't work on any of them. Hell no. So, I go in, finally I get a woman doctor. I'm watching Isaac's interview on jobs. By the way, this is another fraud. Malcolm Gladwell's a fraud. Literature's a fraud. I can get into that. But she x-rays me, and or CAT scans me. I'm in there for a long time. Finally, she comes in. She had tears in her eyes. And she's, oh, my God, Kevin, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what? I'm thinking, I'm okay. You have this massive tumors in your lower right mesentery. She says it's bad. It's really bad. We're going to admit you right now. I've been on the phone with a couple young oncologists. One of them's coming in. We've been discussing this case over there. It's carcinoid cancer. We believe it's metastasized to your liver. Wow. So we're going to admit you. Up the elevator I go. Hand me a Wikipedia page. I'm reading Wikipedia on carcinoid metastasized liver, 100% death sentence. Only possible hope, and is just gutted out, but there really is no hope. So I get up into the elevator. Here comes this young oncologist. He meets me before I'm even into the room. I'm by myself. He says to me, "Hey, Kevin, yeah, I was just coming to talk to you. I've been reviewing your CAT scan." He's over there on the computer looking at it, and he says, I'm like, is it in my liver? I think so. I see spot on your liver. And he says, I got to tell you, I've reviewed your case, Marie. You have all the classic symptoms of a hardcore, nasty, freaking evil cancer. You have drop in libido, which I had. Rapid drop. You got numbness in your hands, which I had. I didn't have diarrhea. And so, as it went on, I'm like, I said, don't fuck with me. Tell me what it is. And he says, it's bad, Kevin. He says, my opinion, which I asked him for, I think you'll probably be gone within the next, few months. I think it's at death sentence. I'm by myself. I call my daughter. Another oncologist comes in there, tells me the same thing, starts telling me stories about his daughter. I went into this surreal state, but I had a dream a few weeks earlier. This utopic dream, and I understand Danish philosophy. My real last name would not be Blanch. We're adopted. We're Danes. I understand Danish philosophy, and by the way, it was 2 Danish doctors and Danish philosophy doctors that saved my life. I had this utopic, incredible dream. It was the most utopic, and I held on to that dream. I was gambling in this slot machine and showed up 44 on these tumors. And, now I know they were tumors. I didn't know, and I held on to that dream. And I'm like, my daughter came in, stayed in the room with me that night, and she had a dream too, and she said, Dad, I don't think you're going to die. And my subconscious, because Danish philosophy believes that your subconscious will tell you everything for it. And I am Cassandra-like in a lot of ways because of my nuke atomic base and my thesis my autistic upbringing and my father being nuke. I'm very good at hypothesizing things forward because I listen to my subconscious. I tap into it. I listen to it because the subconscious is thousands of times stronger than the conscious. It sucks up everything, but we deny it. We deny it with hairspray as a masquerade part. We deny the truth, and we create this incredible facade to where we can't accept it because then our facade comes burning down. That's what America is. I held on to it. I was very sick. Finally, they scoped me, blamed it all on an altar. Loaded me up on the freeway, sent me home, told me there's nothing wrong with me. I'm losing 6-7 pounds a day. I passed out on the bathroom floor. Go up to the other Ogden Regional Hospital. Go to the emergency room. This idiot fills me full of water, almost like just Warhol. Sent me out there, passed out outside, laying on the thing. Daughter picks me. I'm ready to die. I mean, I'm a tough guy. We know. I mean, the pain in the stomach. It was so incredible. So finally, they get me in there, biopsy it. Silverman, who's supposed to be the best pathologist, I'm standing looking right down at his piece of shit mansion. He's a fraud. He dips it in the wrong solution because he doesn't believe that leukemia can form in tumors. So I'm Googling. I'm doing everything I can. Why I'm so much pain and so sick. I find a YouTube video on a pathologist in New York City who sent it out, 14 views, talking about tumors in the lower right mesentery and how he believes pathologists get it wrong more than they get it right and how difficult it is to slice those tumors and how dynamic and creative they are. And he believed that they get it wrong more than they got, and that's when my light went on. I'm like, this fucker's got it wrong. And so I kept arguing over and over and over with all of them. Nope, we're not wrong. We're scheduling you for surgery. This young punk named Bakara, I ever see that fucker, I will knock the fuck out of him. I go into his office. He's a surgeon. He lays out this map. He's going to gut half my guts out. First he tells me it's benign, then malignant. I mean, this is a fraud because that's all they want to do is cut and get you in the room, do multiple surgeries. Oh, look at me. Look at my house I live in. I stuccoed his father's house. He's an Indian descent. Lives in this 12,000 square foot mansion, just him and her. I mean, there's rooms they don't go in. I mean, it's so grotesque. Oh, we got this big fake styrofoam fake. Well, why would anybody want one? I could see it if you're fucking rich and got a whole bunch of fucking kids. But I mean, it's such a facade. He who has the big house wins. No, they lose. It's so grotesque. It's such a grotesque facade. So I like those, and I kept on. Finally, I got in to see. I knew who to go see. Vincent Hansen, the old, real Christian, the beautiful soul that he is. My uncle started the Ogden Clinic, one of the greatest heart surgeons in America. He's really my dad's cousin. You know, a brilliant genius. He didn't even like me. Me and him, philosophies were night and day. He used to get so pissed, you know, because I was a big businessman in this freaking town. Biggest stucco contractor in this. I had 10,000 frescoes, real stucco. Everybody knew me. Everybody knows our family, whatever. Vincent Hansen was his ex-business partner. Vincent Hansen knew my last. Vincent Hansen grew up in Central Utah. His father and brother both died of thyroid cancer when he was a boy. Published for 50, 60 years. Genius. Hasn't retired because there's nobody to pick up the slack. Got into scene. Here's how my stock portfolio. I said, I don't have insurance. I have the ability to pay. He says, Kevin, I know about you. I know all about you. He says, you remind me of your uncle he was a genius. He says, I agree with everything you say. We're all dog wonders. There are no safe levels of radio. He says, I agree with everything you say. I said, I think maybe it's leukemia. And he's like, we talked. You could see he cared about me, and he put a lot of work into that, and that's the only reason I'm alive. He overrode them all. He said, let's bone marrow. And even the bone marrow biopsy was inconclusive, and that's the only way they can tell. They lay you on your back, they dig into your hip and hook into your, and they're brutal. I've had a lot of them. So his secretary calls me after the bone marrow. He says, I'm going to do some work. From what I understand, he really had quite the arguments with Silverman. Silverman, that arrogant prick, told I've never got one on. Fuck him. He had it wrong. Picked in the wrong solution. I was right. It was leukemia. Well, we know if it presents in the tumor, it's almost a death sentence. Very few people survive in it because of the diagnosis, one. It's brutal, but medicine's come a long ways. The top of LDS, which they do not own it, owned by the more mature two, it's an old hospital. Under remodel while I'm in there. He says, his secretary calls and says, you get down to LDS Hospital. I said, no, I'm going to the Mayo Clinic. And he's like, no, you're not. He says, his secretary says, he says, for you to get down there and check in tomorrow. 11, 11, 11. I have a big thing about 11s, 3 11s. I'm like, wow. Wow, I just stroked down. Bone marrow I watched my father die from it. In a bone marrow transplant unit. I just broke down. I'm dead. It's over. Told my daughter, it's over. She said, no, you calm down. Call him back. So I called back. She says, he wants to talk to you. He's with other things. I mean, this guy is so overwhelmed. The patient, because no one can pick up the slack. These young alcoholics are pathetic. He called me back, and you could hear the crack on his voice. No, Kevin. They're the best leukemia unit in the world. The guy named Fimbo Peterson down there. He's his team at for Danish philosophy medicine. They're brilliant. They're genius. He says, that's where you're going. He says, I have hope for you. This is a nasty, horrific cancer in you. Very nasty. I have hope for you. So in I went. It was horrible. I got to tell you. They immediately when you go in there, I mean, I'm losing 6 cents. I'm in so much pain from my abdomen. Now get this, how can all these multiple diets not restrict my diet? I got bowel looping. I got tumors wrapped around my lower bowel. And they don't restrict my diet? Are these people insane? Beyond insane. Malpractice? Beyond malpractice. Evil. Finally, they have to call in a GI. He's like, Dr. Nelson, he's like, what the fuck? He says, if your bowel's even got a tiny hole in it, you're fucking dead. I haven't had a bowel movement in days. I went 14 days without a fucking bowel movement. They're giving me repositories. They're doing everything. So I go in there. They stand me up. They put a central line in your jugular. They flip you over. They put a stent in your spine, lumbar puncture you, and fill you full of chemo because it likes to hide there. They go into your brain stem. It's like a whirlwind. You got the central line hanging out of your jugular, hanging out of your chest. They quarantine you into a room. This is intense. It's beyond ICU. The average treatment's 1.6 million. They plug you in. They start feeding you chemo. It has 3. It's called a Hickman line. It's the greatest breakthrough in cancer treatment. They have computers. They have these tubes that go down into. They have a pharmacy just for the 33 beds in there. That's all they do. They spin your blood. They come in at 3 o'clock in the morning, draw huge vials of blood, take it down, spin it into this multi-million-dollar machine. Breaks down the complex. They have it already. They have what they call rounds. They have a team of 8 doctors in there. They have multiple PAs, hundreds of nurses, and they only hire the best of the best. Right here at Weber State School of Nursing, the greatest nursing school in the country. These nurses don't leave. They're the greatest nurses in the world. That's all they have. They meet in rounds. The nurses have just as much say as the doctors. They meet, they argue your case. I mean, intensely argue it. Passion, intentional arguments. Then they make the decisions on how the treatment goes. You know, they break down your blood cell thing. They kill you. They burn out because it was blood cancer. They know it. So they take you down. And I mean take you down. You know, they're in the please have a bowel movement. Please, they're praying for me. Nurses tickling my hands, crying, praying for me tonight, slipping out of a coma. So last she's head of she just retired. The secretary says, Kevin, I prepared your paperwork when you come out. I expected you to be dead within days. I mean, she holds no punches, this woman. She just retired. I hope she writes a book about the bone marrow transplant center. But she says you're the biggest walking miracle I ever seen walk out of here. You're amazing. Your fight, your intensity is incredibly amazing. So, I mean, it's a war. I'm in so much pain because of the tumor. I mean, I've never had pain like this. They call the stomach the second brain. I mean, yeah. I mean, the doctor's like, I've never seen a guy your age with that thick of abdomen muscles. Talk about it, which I've always had six pack my whole life, but even got thicker and thicker because I'm cramped up for 30 days of malpractice. Intense contractions. I mean, they're beyond horrific. It's unexplainable. You go into this surreal state. They quarantine you in there. They take you down to 0. Platelets, they say you cannot live with a platelet count under 15. I'm under a platelet count of 15 multiple times. They give you literally hundreds of blood transfusions. Hundreds of blood transfusions. That's how they keep you alive. That computer, they plug you back. I had 22 things hanging off the tree at one thing. They basically kill you, every cell in your body. I got up one morning and the pigment, I didn't get up. I don't even know how you get it. You can hardly even stand. You're hooked to that tree. You don't sleep. You're hooked into the thing. They have computers. They take your vitals manually every 20 minutes, 24/7. We're talking months on end. It's beyond intensive care, way past intensive care. It was so incredible, and I couldn't even watch TV. I'd start puking. Light from anything. You quarantine, no visitors. Your platelet count, your neutrophils go to 0. That's your immune system. To 0. You get one. I got 2 staph infections, 2 in my central line. So how do they handle that? These nurses are so incredible. They come in when they have to do that. I called out my own infection one day. I kept getting infection in the line, and I'm like, I can smell it. No. So they're trading dressings, they're trading everything. Finally, they had to just quit using any dressing on me. I argued with the doctors, Dr. Ford, who's a brilliant genius from here. He's the only local doctor in there from Ogden. Again, one of my relatives, Martian Blanch, the brilliant genius that he is, who doesn't like me either, by the way, because they're getting Mormons and they think I'm too intense, but that's okay. I look like them. I still have their brain. I love those guys, even though they don't like me. But he says, you look just like him. You sound just like, these guys are geniuses. I know that. He says, your platelet count's too hard to be, it's too low to be chemoed again. He says, bullshit. Just chemoing. Do it. And he does it, and so these nurses come in, they have these bottles. It's like little ketchup bottles, 15. They have to culture every single line. 17 different cultures on each line. Do the math. Over 50 cultures. How much blood they drain, and they have to culture every line, and they identify the infection, and they put you on heavy. I was on 102 different drugs. 102. I'm dead. I mean, they kill you. They know it's your only fucking... And people say, well, when you get acute leukemia like that, it's a death sentence. This is a fucking Hail Mary. These are pure fucking Hail Marys from hell. They take on fucking death cases in there. The younger the person is, the more they go to work. Carla, a beautiful friend, just ran the Ogden Marathon, a marathon, incredible, beautiful. She was the only other one with OS. Being tracked all over the world about 2 cases. Kevin and Carla, that's what everybody calls us. A beautiful soul of hers. She died February 25th, 2013. Paul, my other best friend who I grew up with, died February 26th, 2015. Tracy, Judy, Gail, Ronnie, Dusty, little Molly, our whole group that got cancer, all dead. I watched them all die. Oh, go smoke some weed, are you fucking kidding me? This is you're dead. This is blood cancer. These free radicals are so incredible that there's the killer cells killing the other cells. They mow off 33% of your body mass in as short as 3 days. I went from 170 to 130 in 3 weeks. That's what this is. Oh, yeah. Fucking evil from hell. Haunting it. I kept doing my videos. Those videos from inside my arm, I look back and how the fuck did you do that, Kevin? Uploading them on my old fucking shitty laptop, just trying to keep my anti-nuclear vaccine. I think it saved my life. People are doing prayers for me all over the YouTube. Those seances all over. There was an organized day, February 26, 2012, and they're like, go by the window, Kevin, open the window. People did prayers and seances all over the fucking world for me, on beaches, in temples, everywhere, simultaneously. They saved my fucking life. Cards and letters streaming in. The nurses, the candy strippers, the old ladies are like, holy cow, look at this. People loved me and cared about me. People in the community did not rally around me. People at this university fucking spit on me, wanted me to fucking die, kicked me to the fucking curb, still have, fuck them. The Mormon community turned their back on me hardcore, which I come, without my bloodlines and the people that came right to the spot at LDS Hospital right there, that's where the first Mormons set foot, right there, which is my family. Without them, there is no fucking Mormon church. Yet they turned their fucking back on me. My fucking great-great-grandfather, Abraham II the First, without him, there is no... He started the United. The Mormon church was fucking bankrupt, broke. It was him. He created the Hunsaker Mill. He fed the entire fucking populace of them. His charity fucking left them all lit, paid all their fucking taxes. Everything. One of the group that found the gold of Sutter's Mill. Head of the Mormon Battalion. Without him, there is no... But that's... My grandfather was able to... I mean... They turned their back on me, spit on me. Nothing. Release inside their fraud. Fuck them. They all turned their back on me. A few family members rallied around me. Well, not even a few. What am I talking about? My brother and my children and my children's friends. When I was raised, I coached a lot of youth athletics there. I was very intricate involved in this community. My daughter's friends, all their friends, they love me. Because I treated them so well as children. That's who rallied around me. The way it works in this country, people don't understand this. I had about $700,000 in a stock portfolio that you'd watch me make off $3,000 right on YouTube. The way it works, to get into a unit like that, you have to fork over every dime you have and then go on Medicaid. You get to keep your house and work hard. That's it. They take every single penny you have. You have to have less than $2,000. We know that's the way. There's caseworkers that handle it down there. They know every single person. I know multimillionaires that have gone in there. Lots of them. Mrs. Glouder, she passed, a brilliant soul. Her own beautiful daughter, one of her nurses. Here she's a nurse. Her mom lands right in there. I mean, it's little Caitlin. I mean, it's so heartbreaking. It's so emotional. The nurses there. It's the most emotional place in the world. I told everybody, you can go with us. I've invited on my YouTube site right here in fucking Kool-Aidville, Utah, in denial, fast grade party fucks. I said, I have permission. I'm the first guy ever to get permission to go into a bunk. You can come. Spend the day with me. Well, young Melissa and young Megan are the only two, those beautiful, my massage therapists. Yeah. Fingertip massage you have to have. You can't have because you bleed to death. Well, those two girls went. They spent the day in there. They came out of there just crying in tears. Girls shriveled up to 90 pounds, 80 pounds by multiple ones. It's the most, yet the nurses never quit there. They have the lowest turnover of any hospital anywhere in the United States. It's so spiritual in there. It creates the reality of the human life. Has nothing to do with money, I can tell you that. Has nothing. Wealth is not money. I used to say that before I got cancer. It has to do with the environment. It has to do with the beauty. Has to do with relationships. It has to do with going for a walk. The best things in life are fucking free. That's a fact. Food. I was having dreams about water. I would have dreams about, I told what's the name Dale Matador down here if I finally went, I would have dreams about your freaking cheese enchiladas. I went without food and water for so long. I lived on the bag. They can only keep you on the bag for so long your stomach shrivels up. So then they switched me to Boost Plus 4 a day. My nurses are standing over, drink it, Kevin. My beautiful, incredible PAs. They collect all your urine. They collect all your, they fill you full of water, 20, 30 pounds of water. Then they put you on legs. They have to coach your death. It's a Hail Mary to come out of a miracle. So they do it multiple. They want to do it 5 times. After 3 times, I can't recover anymore. I'm done. My platelets won't return. It's a video I did when I sat by my father's potato digger, and I had to pray that day and make that decision on whether to have a bone marrow transplant. They thought I was going to die. Everybody did. I'm not responding. My platelet count is not returning. Nothing's coming back. I'm not responding. So they bone marrow biopsy again for the mouth. They can't CAT scan me anymore. They can't PET scan me anymore. It's too much radiation. They're flying blind. So, one more, and that's sure that Kevin's in big fucking trouble. We're going to have to go ahead with the bone marrow transplant. You know, and that's the procedure. And both antibiotics do not keep yourself. They work a lot of times. They fucking work. The younger you are, the more chance you have. And oh, dude, they work. And if they work, you're probably going to live to be an old, happy person. But they only work a certain percentage of the time, depending on your age. My age, I knew they only work, not very often. You know, I think the overall number could be in the 30%. The younger you are, the better chance you have with it. I didn't want to take those odds. I had Finbo had a long talk with me. He said, Kevin, I'm not so sure it'll work anyway, but this is your choice, and it's a hard choice. I really did have that dream, that poetry that I wrote that night about my grandparents coming to me in my dream. So sad. The sandpiper did come to me. You can watch it on the videos. I mean, right there on the video, I'm doing that video, that crazy radical of my intensity, my intense fight against doctor's odds of that central line. I got a central line hanging on me in almost all those videos. You don't see it. It's hanging out of my jugular. Platelet counts are freaking under 30. I'm traveling around the country with a central. I mean, it's insane what I did. Going down into Memory Grove where the first Mormons came with all those incredible monuments, World War I, World War II, that spiritual, hallowed, sacred ground, to the meditation temple and praying and meditating. I did all that on my own with my tree. Started walking this hill that I'm hiking today. I couldn't walk 3 feet. Now I walk up it like a gazelle. It's 6 miles straight up to Main Peak here. Straight up in this incredible mountain. This is where the Olympic downhill was, right here. The mountains that are in the backdrops here. My place. I've been here my whole, this beautiful, incredible place that's been hijacked by culture, but they can't take the landscape. They irradiated the fucking air. It was a horrible, horrible battle. And I prayed and prayed, and I made the choice. Let's try this without the bone marrow transplant. Finbo's like, we're going to, they so heavily document my case. They have multiple people writing down notes, whatever, because, like he says, Kevin, you're sitting the playbook. My activism, my intent, they know all about my YouTube site. They know all about they know every single detail about me. They place me on Medicaid. Get this, I'm due for surgery yesterday because I've got some issues, and they've been afraid to cut my gallbladder, and they know it's infected. They know I've got serious issues. They can't do surgery on me. They know they can't. I got problems from the chemo burned me up, whatever. They were panicking it was the pancreas for a while, but it wasn't, thank God. Finally, my platelets have started to return after all this time. It's been a slow and credible walk in a battle. My diet, my spirituality, my activism, hardcore, intense, because my mind just went, I know that it comes back 85% of the time and just mows you down. I watched Paul die when I came back. I watched Carla die. I watched Tracy die. I watched Judy die. I hope their hands when so many of them died. And it's not a pretty death. I don't want to die this way. I do not want to die this way. Let me tell you, it's the worst death in the world. You know you're fucking dying. You don't just die, because euthanasia is a joke here. You don't just fucking die. Don't just feel you're full of fucking dope and you die. You're alive. Your mind's on fire like a grass fire. And you're dying. And it takes time, a long time to die. It's horrible. It's fucking horrible. It's the worst way on earth to die. And I've watched it more. You want to kind of heartbreaking? It's beyond, I mean, make you cry. I watched my dad. I love him to body that, but now I've watched it dozens of times because a lot of these people, my doctors and a lot of the caseworkers, now the social workers down there, which I got in trouble with them, they don't like me, the administrators, they don't like my ways because I'm too intense, so fuck them. But my nurses and doctors understand. A lot of the patients, they understand me. They know. It's beyond a fucking fight. It's the fight of your life. That's what this is. Literally the fight of your fucking life. And I'm here to tell you. You say, I'm going to fight. You better know how to fucking fight. It's not, I'm just going to. And then you've got to do it. I'm single. I don't have a wife to baby tend me. But I think that helped me. I had no money left. I had not a penny, not a dime. I couldn't even buy food. I had to borrow money from every nook and cranny. I got a few donations, came in on my YouTube site, whatever. That's how I fed myself. That's how Social Security fucked me. They fucked me. I'll continue this on Tuesday, but that's what we're up against. And we know these things have spiked dramatically, and they're mowing people down. And I'm allowed to tell, my YouTube site has been about living, surviving this fucking nightmare that Fukushima is. It's going to give so many of you just what I talked about. And we've got to learn how to fight in an intense way, in an intelligent way, not hyperbole, knee-jerk bullshit.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Twin Gate 3